Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Joe Wolf. I work for the Choctaw Nation Historic Preservation Department out of Durant, Oklahoma. And today we're here at our virtual tour. Right now, we're going to do the tour on Facebook Live, so we decided to do it on a video due to a lot of interruptions. So today we are here in Spiro, Oklahoma. Actually, we're here at Skullyville, Oklahoma, where the Choctaws have came here, settled, and got their allotment and their annuity here in this land, and that's why they named it Skullyville. Skully stands for money in Choctaw. So today we're not here to discuss about Skullyville a little bit, but we'll mostly be discussing about the Butterfield Stage Route that came through here in the Choctaw Nation. Well, let's begin with the Butterfield Stage Route here at here in the Choctaw Nation. Excused by the sound, there's a lot of traffic going through here and everything, so just bear with me. The Butterfield Stage Route started out with John Butterfield. He was born and raised around in New York. John Butterfield, of course, agreed with the United States to have the mail to be sent from St. Louis, Missouri, started in that area, all the way into San Francisco within 27 days. That's like nearly end of the month. So in 27 days, that's pretty, the driving, I believe, is it's a long day. Like today, we can get there within a day or two to get to San Francisco with our vehicle. And of course, John Butterfield had a stage carriage. Of course, had pulling around 3 horses, possibly 6 horses, going along and through the stage route, traveling about nearly 25-30 miles an hour, depending on what land slope they're in. If they're in the plains area, flat area, usually they're traveling at that speed. But if they're going in the terrain area, through the mountains, through the hills, creeks, they have to drive pretty slow. And so it takes a little time to get from St. Louis all the way into San Francisco, and within 27 days. So now we're going here. We were going to start in Fort Smith, but we thought, since Fort Smith's not really actually in Choctaw Nation, so we're going to start here in Skullyville, which there's a lot of stage stands between here and down south near Red River, what will be in the Colberts Ferry, which we'll get to that later on, and hopefully we'll get to that, if not today, tomorrow on the next segment. So right behind me, this is where we're going to start at today, and one of the first stage stands that happened here on the Butterfield Stage Route. The Butterfield Stage Route operated here in the Choctaw Nation. Of course, right behind me would have been Walker Station. Walker Station also is right behind me here. I don't know if you can see it, but right in here, of course, the house and the dog trot home that he lived in is not standing no more. Used to, after he left, the Answorth family took over. But in that time, around the 1850s, Mr. Tandy Walker, who was the chief of the Choctaw Nation, who also signed with John Butterfield and the United States to operate these stands along these routes here in the Choctaw Nation, also operating in a toll booth as well. So Colonel Tandy Walker, Chief Tandy Walker, owned this site here with his family. Walker also decided to have the stage stand coming through here. Of course, there's a depression you can see right here beyond me. You can show, which I'll show that here later, where the depression's at of the wagon. Well, of course, this Butterfield route also, this wasn't only a route, this was also a traffic. This was a roadway. In the beginning, this was a military road. From a couple years ago, I talked to a resident here, and of course, he was an elder. He was talking to me about this area. He said, of course, right here was Tandy Walker stand, and this depression here is actually the road. It was the Butterfield Stage Route. Before then, he said he believes that through the history that he knows of, what he heard when he was a child, this was a military road. So I don't know if this was a Fort Smith or the Fort Towson military road, but he said he knew this was a military road along with the Trail of Tears. So this is where, like I said, the Trail of Tears came in and stopped here, and they got their annuity and their allotment lands in this area. So today, this is where the first stage stand has happened here in the Choctaw Nation near Skullyville, with Tandy Walker owning the stand. Of course, the next site will be along here will be the Terrtory station, which is possibly about 20 miles, 25 miles away from the stage stand. So the wagon will stop here and go ahead and trade horses or whatever that needs to be made, and then just hook it on and head on towards the Terrtory station. So we're going to talk that later. So let's go ahead and head on that way, and let's talk about this area. I'll show you the depression, okay? So what we're looking at beyond these grounds right here, that would have been the depression where the wagon route would have come through into the Butterfield Stage Road. Also, this was noted as the military road and a Terrtory road as well. So this was a actual road that went through in that time. And his home would have set right in those areas. That's where Tandy Walker's home would have set at. Let's go check the monument. So here's the monument of the Tandy Walker stand. So right in there. And his home would have set right in this area. Note the chimney is not the his original home. There was another house that set there, but his home set like just a little bit back in this area. But yep, there you go. There's the Butterfield Stage Route, Tandy Walker's home, and the Walker Station. Now let's head on to the Terrtory Station. Hey everyone, this is Joe Wolf again. Now we left from Skullyville, and I forgot to mention that there was another site of a station called the Butterfield Station, which is just about 5 minutes from here. It's between the Walker Station and here at Terrtory. Of course, there's too much about Brazil. It's just a small cemetery and a few little places there, but there's no monument, especially here at Terrtory. There was a monument just right over here, just adjacent where I'm at, and the monument's been broken into, I guess someone maybe was mowing and forgot there was a monument there or something, as I seen it tipped over and it's kind of broken. But it's sad to see it that way. But of course, the Oklahoma Historical Society, and back in the 50s, they placed these markers all around along the routes here and the Butterfield Stage Routes. Of course, a brief history. This was a Sugarloaf County in this area in Meshulah District. Of course, the courthouse, they call it the Sugarloaf County Courthouse, sits just right up here near the Terrtory Station, right on the Brazil Creek. Also, the Brazil Station, that's just right over here. There's barns and stuff right over here. Just gonna let you know all that. So the Brazil Station actually sit like in this area beyond those trees. Of course, there's a Terrtory Cemetery in the private property. The Terrtory was a log cabin owned by Mr. Terrtory. I can think of his first name. I believe it was John Terrtory, James Terrtory. I believe it was James Terrtory. He was a Choctaw, half Choctaw. He was, I think, a representative of the Choctaw Nation as well. Of course, I believe he was a judge in the Sugarloaf County Courthouse, and of course, he married with the Choctaw lady, and and the Choctaw appointed him to be part of the stage route that came along here before the Civil War. Of course, I forgot to mention to you all that the Butterfield Stage Route started around September in 1857, before the Civil War happened. In 1861, that's when the Civil War started happening, and they closed the stage stands around here. Of course, we're going to go a little bit further west, and there's a point that talks about, I believe, Fort Smith and San Francisco. It tells you how far Fort Smith is from that point going to San Francisco. We'll take a small glimpse of that, and then we'll go on to the next stop, which would be the Edward Store. Now, the Edward Store is a pretty good prominent place of this stage route, the wagons that went through here in that time. A lot of people ask, why is it so significant for these Butterfield stage routes? What is it so significant for the Choctaws? Well, just let you know, it went through the Choctaw land, came across again. There was agreement with Tandy Walker and John Butterfield and so forth with the United States to carry the postal mail going through. Instead of going through Arkansas to Louisiana, they came through Fort Smith and they cut across here to Walker Station, Brazil. Now we're here at Traherne. And then now we'll be going towards Edward Store, and we'll talk about that. And then hopefully the next stop will be Holloway. So we're going to try to get through with this today. And I know it's almost noontime, and we'll try to get much as we can because sunlight's, we try to get much sunlight because it's going to get darker. And I live in Durant, so we'll try to get down there as much as we can. So we're going to go on from here, from Traherne Station. Now I'm going to head on to Edward Store. So let's take a trip to Edward Store and go from there. And if you ever want to learn more about these Butterfield routes and stuff, you can go online. You can check out Oklahoma Historical Society, type in Butterfield Stage Routes or Butterfield Stagecoach routes or whatever, any kind of history that tells you all about the history, especially in the Choctaw Nation. Of course, all these names you can look forward to in Wikipedia, and they can tell you all these sites and all these routes that went along these routes. So let's go on to what did I just say? Edward Store. So Edward Store, let's head on that way, all right? But first, before we go there, we're gonna stop in that middle point and talk about how many miles from Fort Smith to San Francisco, all right? Let's do that. So we'll see you on the next. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Joe Wolf. Earlier, we was at Traherne Station, so now we're here at Edward Store. So today we're going to be talking about the history of Edward Store. Thanks for Chrissy Dickmeyer for letting us to come in, and of course there's a gated back here, but I think they say you're welcome to come in, but be careful when you come in. This site is very endangered, and when nobody get hurt. And we'll look at this building here in a minute, but first let's talk about the history of Edward Store. Edward Store was founded by Mr. Thomas Edwards and his wife Nancy Hardaway Edwards. Of course, Nancy was a Choctaw from Mississippi. Anybody doesn't know her dad, but her dad was Hartwell Hardaway, who was also a Choctaw, and his home is where they sited the Dancing Rabbit Creek Treaty on his property. So, of course, they removed from their homeland as well and came over here. Well, fast forward, Nancy Hardaway met Thomas Edwards in Fort Smith. They got married, and of course they moved up in this area and built their home in early 1850s. And now this home became a site of a post office, and then later on a stage stand. Well, let me flip that around. It was a stage stand before a post office, so it was a stage stand for the Butterfield that came along in this area. Well, the Butterfield, before it was a road, it was a boggy depot and a Fort Smith road. Then later on, around September 1857, the Butterfield came through this area, stopped here. The drivers possibly got some food, got some rest, and then they fed the horse and whatever needs to fix for their carriage, and to move on to Holloway Station, which is just west up here. We'll be going over there. There's not much to say about the Holloway Station, just a monument there, and a toll booth used to be around that area, but there's nothing left. So let's talk about more of the Edward Store. Of course, a lot of traffic, a lot of pioneers, everybody came through here in this time. So after the Civil War, this place kind of shut down for a little while, and I don't know if there was any Confederates or anybody came through this area, but of course it was shut down for a little while, and of course it's still continuing, for operation for a little bit, but then hardly, excuse for the traffic behind me. So, but the traffic that came through here, for the pioneers, everybody that came through. Then they realized after the Civil War, they want to settle a town here called Red Oak. So Red Oak was established here in 1868. Of course, in that time, it became a broadened community. And then around the early 1890s, they built a railroad just south of here, possibly around, I'd say about 15-20 minutes from here, going across this way. And then they settled the new Red Oak. And of course, the business started dropping here and moving southwards to the new Red Oak. So Red Oak here kind of diminished here slowly. And then after that, Mr. Thomas Edwards still hanging on. And when he passed on, his family took over. And then it went on from the different generations. And whoever took over this place, the family, whoever preserved the sites very well. I don't know who was the last one that lived here. I believe around the 1960s, I believe, was the last person that lived here, maybe the 70s. But it's still well kept, still in good shape. So I'll let you look at this site, and it's wonderful. And it's probably one of the third or fourth one of the dog trots that's still standing in Oklahoma, and especially in Choctaw Nation. So let's take a look at the Edwards store. So this is the Edwards store, and you see in front of you would have been the road, the Butterfield Road, also the Fort Smith and the Boggy Depot Road. As you see on the chimney is this, it's ceramic wrapped real tightly, so to make sure the rocks won't fall. So they're still trying to restore and preserve this site, and they're trying to make some funds, which that's pretty cool that they're trying to preserve it and make possibly a visitation place for people to come by and visit, and maybe it turn into a store, what it used to be like. So it's over 150, 160 years old. Wow, this is still preserved. So again, that was Edwards store. So now we're going to go head on to Holloway Station. Of course, like I said, this is possibly the oldest and the only standing structure along the Butterfield Stage Route. So we're going to head on to Holloway Station and then possibly go to Riddle Station. I don't know if that'll be our last stop or not, but we'll see how it goes from there, because we still got daylight. So again, like I said, we're from Durant, so I'm trying to get back before it gets dark. So again, let's head on to Holloway Station and we'll see where we go. All right, we'll see you on the next. So we're here at Holloway Station. Like I said, there's really not much, so, and not worried with a lot of traffic, so we'll try to do it real quick. So Holloway Station, and there's the monument, and it's in private property. So beyond that monument, that's where his home would have been at. So I don't know much of the Holloway Station. I know he married a Choctaw lady, but don't know much history of when Holloway. If you do, let me know. I'd like to learn more about Holloway, and so we'll go from there. So anyway, now we're on to Riddle Station near Wilburton, so let's go over there to Riddle Station. So I'll see you on next. Well, good afternoon again, everybody. Joe Wolf here again. So earlier we just got done with the Edwards store and the Holloway Station just near Red Oak. And now we're here near Wilburton, Oklahoma, and just east of me, right behind me, is the Riddle Station. Now, Captain John Riddle, he is mixed Choctaw blood, settled here. Of course, he came along in the removal as well, along with his family. And Mr. John Riddle, Captain John Riddle, served in the Choctaw Council as well. So his home used to sit right behind me, and there's a well that sits right over there. And I was told by an elder a while back when I took a tour here a few years ago, and they were saying that there was a well that used to be near his home site, and he pointed out, said this is possibly where the old well's at. It's just right over here, which I'll let's do the picture right quick. Let me show you what. Excuse the vehicle, but you can see right over there. That's the old well. And his home, of course, is just would have been across the street of this road here. And so that's where his home side, right beyond here. We will go in there, but in the area, but it's in the private land. Again, like we said, we don't want to disturb any kind of lands or go anybody's property without permission or anything. So we just want to stay close. So we're out here right behind me. This is the Riddle Cemetery. Actually, this is called Ludi Cemetery, the old Ludi Cemetery, but the Riddle Cemetery is right there with the family, and his home was sitting right there in the field. Of course, there was a toll bridge that went across here until the Civil War came along, so he had to close the bridge down and so forth. So this is where Captain John Riddle and the Riddle stage stand for the Butterfield that came along here, and they went across near the Wilburton area, and then kind of went south to the Mount Station area. So the Mount Station is where the next stage was at. Then it went to Pusley Station. So hopefully we'll get to these two sites before the end of the day. So this is part of the Riddle Station here on the Butterfield Stage Route. So let's go on to the next, to the Mount Station area. So there's a few things we'd like to talk about there, and then of course possibly the Pusley Station. All right, we'll talk to you and see you on the next. Good afternoon again. This is Joe Wolf again. We just got done with the Riddle Station, just east of us here. So today we're here at Mount Station. Mount Station, we're here at the Mount Station Cemetery. Just across the road is the Mount Station. The house site was a little bit nearby, close to the cemetery, but there's nothing left of the house site. Mount Station sits right on, as we were speaking about in Edward's store, that it sits on the Fort Smith and the Boggy Depot Road. Also, of course, it came along through the Overland Mail Route as the Butterfield Stage Route. There's a few little history on here about the Mount Station. Of course, there's a Mount Station springs right over here. This were said that where the horses would be drinking water. It's a spring water, still been running for over 100 years. They also said that this site pretty much is possibly the only site here you can still see the wagon ruts, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. You still can barely see the preserved wagon ruts that went through here. The Choctaw man owned this area. I can't think of the name right off my head, but Choctaw man owned this area, and the Choctaw Nation wanted him to own this to operate and to become a toll booth for during the time of the Butterfield that came along. Also, it was noted that as well that this possibly had a little small skirmish during the Civil War, right after the Butterfields kind of ceased down just a bit. And the Civil War, when it happened, I believe some of the Confederates was moving in, and then they found a few of the Union forces that come along. So, excuse me. So it kind of interact here and there, but there was no battle site or nothing. It's just a small little skirmish that happened up here around this area, but it didn't happen anything big or whatever. Some have said the Civil War that died here is buried here, but I have no clue if they did. But I only know one thing. What I've heard is that along on the way up here, a gentleman from around San Francisco or around California area came along this route, and of course they said that he was a big filmmaker. Well, back in that time they didn't have any kind of big old cameras and stuff in that time era, but he kind of invented the film, like a slow film, and and he was trying to come up here and do a documentation on the Butterfield and do a slow reel on the Butterfield. But of course, they said not too far from here, the wagon tipped over, and he fell out, and the wagon fell on him and killing him. So they said that since he was away from home, they buried him here, and he's over here in the burial site. This dates back around 1858, I believe. So he's buried here. So that's the only death they said that happened along the Butterfield route. Some have asked me, has any raid that's happened, like, has Indians or any other Native American raided this Butterfield stagecoach, or has any of outlaws ever tried to raid this the Butterfield stagecoach? I've heard said no, but only one that happened is there in Texas, around the Comanches. They tried to raid the carriage, the Butterfield stagecoach, but it wasn't a success. So they finally fled and got away from there. That's what I've heard, but I don't know if the true story is not. But there's a lot of story that's happening along the Butterfield. But Mount Station was one of the stage stands that they interchanged horses. This is a stage stand interchange horses while he may be getting something fed or maybe rested up for about 5-10 minutes. To quickly switch horses out and then moved it on to Pusley Station, which is about another 10 minutes south from here. So it's like different increments that happen through here. Like, we was at Walker, and then about 15-20 minutes away is the Traherne station, and then you got the Brazil station, which is just a small station. I guess they passed the area, and then of course they went to Traherne, one of the stage. So there's another about 10-15 minutes increments right there. Then you got another one, Edward Story, which is probably another 15-20 minute increment. And then you got over here to Riddle Station in Wilburton, and another 10, or Holloway, excuse me, there's Holloway Station, then the Riddle Station. So you got between 10 to 15 increments. Then you got here into Mount Station. So it's about 10-15 minutes from here to the Riddle Station. And then you got another 10 minutes south here to Pugsley Station. And then from there you got the Blackburn, which is probably another 15-20 minute increments that you go from there on to Waddle Station. And then hopefully we'll get to those. So I don't know, I believe this may be our last stop here today. We may start with Pugsley tomorrow, and we may come up here back to Hartshorn. This is near Hartshorn, Oklahoma, between Hartshorn and Wilburton on Higgins Road. So we're gonna go over here and take a look at where the old ruts. I'll show you the monument, and then we'll show you the old ruts, and possibly we have time, we'll show you the spring is just down the road here. And it's right on the road. Hopefully there ain't no heavy traffic. So let's do this, and let's go take a look at this historical preserved ruts of the wagon on the Butterfield Stage Route. All right, so we're here at the monument. Of course, right behind me is the cemetery. So here's the monument, and hopefully you get to see the wagon ruts since the brush is kind of cleared off. So here's the monument, and we'll show you the wagon ruts, hopefully. So you see here beyond you, it's the old wagon ruts. You can barely see it going across here, through here. So this is the original road, and you can rarely or barely see the wagon ruts, which I thought to be awesome. Still preserved as it was going through here. So now about his home site, I don't know where his home site would have been at, but if it is, it would have been up in this area, right here, in this area. So now maybe we can go to the spring, maybe show you what the spring looked like. And there's, you can still see the slope where the wagon went through. The rocks over there still preserved too as well. So let's take a look over there, and we'll go from there, all right? All right, we're here at the spring of the Mount Station Spring. There was a sign here, I guess it's been taken off. So there was a sign right there, I guess, I don't know if somebody took it off or what, but indicates just right here, you can still see flowing of the spring, and it's capped off right now. But you can still see beyond that, right in this area right there, that's where the wagon would have came off through here. You can still see some running water, and the wagon kind of went towards this way. And the water's cold because one summer I came up here and it's pretty warm and pretty hot, and of course the spring is still cold. So it's been running probably over 100 years. So it's really interesting about Mount Station. So there's a little significance in this area of Mount Station. So I'm glad to see some of this ruts and the road still preserved here at Mount Station. So we are here at the Pugsley Station. Finally made it here. It's not too far. It's like only 10 minutes from here. So we made it here. So the Pugsley Station sits right behind me, owned by Silas Pugsley. He is a prominent Choctaw. He was from Mississippi, came over here at a young age, and then of course he settled here, and then of course the Choctaw Nation issued him to build a toll bridge for the Butterfield. Right behind me you can see just right beyond the foregrounds, back in here would have been his homestead, beyond the little tree right here. And then of course there's a family cemetery. So
And you can still see the wagon road too going right through here in this area that goes along. So his tow bridge would have been back in here in this area. So Silas Pusley, a prominent Choctaw, settled this area, and of course the Choctaw Nation issued him to build a tow bridge for the Butterfield Stage Route to cross on his property. So there you have it with the Silas Pusley and the Pusley Station. And again, thank you for watching Butterfield Stagecoach. This is the part 1. We're going to go part 2. We got other stagecoach coming around, the stage stands. We got Blackburn, we got Waddell, we got Gary, we got Boggy Depot, and then we have Nails, Fisher, and then hopefully we get to Colberts Ferry, close to Red River. So this is the Butterfield project, I guess you could say. So again, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or anything, comments, please leave them comments, and maybe we can ask you. If you have any history about these Butterfield stands or any family that amongst these stands and stuff, please let us know, and we'd like to know. And also check out our Choctaw Homestead project. If there's any of these stands that you know where these sites are at, please let us know. We would like to take a look as well. So again, thank you. As we say in Choctaw, Yokoke Chupasalaji, and we'll see you on the next, hopefully on the Butterfield Stage.